World leaders are turning on Donald Trump, and it's happening faster than anyone expected. Nations that once tiptoed around him are now making bold moves, declaring a new world order where America is weak, and they're stepping up in ways Trump never saw coming. But here's the shocking part. This isn't just about Trump. It's about what this signals for the future of the United States. France, Canada, China, they're all taking their stands, and you might be surprised at who's leading the charge. So why does this matter to you? Because what happens next could change everything. Stay with me because we're just getting started. What's happening now is more than just a few isolated leaders making noise. This is a massive shift in global power. The leaders who once tried to play nice with America are now taking bold, decisive actions. France, led by Macron, is deploying troops to Greenland. Canada is meeting with China to form new strategic partnerships. And the European Union is laying the groundwork for a new world order that leaves the U.S. behind. But why are they doing this now? Is it because of Trump's actions, or is there something deeper at play? And what does this mean for you, someone living in this new reality? Hold on, because the truth is about to get even more complicated. The world isn't just talking about this shift, they're showing it. French President Macron didn't hold back in a recent speech, calling for France to be feared and respected. In fact, he's already taken action. Macron's forces are now on the ground in Greenland, a direct challenge to U.S. interests. And while the media hasn't fully connected the dots, this isn't just about a dispute over territory. Macron's actions signal something far more dangerous: the end of American dominance in the global arena. Notice what's missing in all of this. America isn't the one calling the shots anymore. That's a seismic shift, and it's only the beginning. But it's not just talk and meetings. The evidence is piling up fast. When you look at the United Nations, the U.S. called for an emergency meeting over its actions in Iran. Yet, what happened next was stunning. As the U.S. backed down from its aggressive stance, the rest of the world looked on, and they weren't impressed. China, of all countries, lectured the U.S. on multilateralism, calling for peaceful dialogue instead of military action. This is a complete reversal of what we've come to expect from global diplomacy. The United States, once the undisputed leader, now finds itself isolated. And that's a key detail, one that changes how we should view America's role moving forward. The world isn't just waiting for America to lead anymore, they're moving on. And it's not just one isolated incident. The pressure is mounting on multiple fronts. Macron's military in Greenland, Canada's growing relationship with China, the U.S. backpedaling in Iran. All of these events are unfolding rapidly, with each moment adding more fuel to the fire. But what happens if this continues? What happens when countries no longer see the U.S. as a reliable partner or global leader? You've got France flexing its military might, Canada finding new trading partners, and China taking a leadership role on the world stage. The dominoes are falling, and the U.S. is getting left behind. But here's the kicker. This is just the beginning. The next steps will determine whether America can hold on to its influence or if it will be pushed further into the margins of global politics. This isn't just about governments or leaders. This is about real people. The actions of these world leaders are already affecting everyday lives, and you might not even realize it. When countries turn their backs on the U.S., it's not just about military posturing or political games, then it's about jobs, trade, and security. If Canada aligns more closely with China, for example, Canadian workers could see new opportunities. Meanwhile, if the U.S. continues its isolation, American workers could face new challenges. This isn't just political theater, it's a game changer for everyone. If this feels familiar to you, if you sense the winds of change in your own life, drop a comment below. How are you seeing this shift impact your world? Now let's step back for a moment and look at the bigger picture. What's driving all of this? It's not just the actions of individual leaders. It's the systems and forces behind them. The U.S. once held the reins of global power, using leverage, military strength, and economic influence to shape the world. But what happens when that power starts to fade? Countries like China, France, and Canada are seizing the moment, driven by incentives to shift away from U.S. influence. The system that once worked for America is no longer guaranteed to work in its favor. The spectacle of the U.S. backing down in the UN, that's not just a sign of weakness, it's a symptom of a deeper systemic shift in the global balance of power. And if that shift continues, it'll change how global politics works, not just for America, but for everyone. Looking ahead, there are two possible paths forward, and both of them are uncertain. One path sees the U.S. pulling itself together, regaining its role as a global leader, and trying to reassert dominance in the face of shifting alliances. The other, a continued slide into isolation with countries like China and Canada forging new power centers, leaving the U.S. on the outside looking in. It's impossible to predict which way this will go. But one thing's for sure, the momentum is already building. The next few years will define whether the U.S. can adapt or if this new world order takes hold. Either way, we're about to see a dramatic shift, and the consequences will be felt for generations. Here's the truth. The world is changing, and it's changing fast. The days when the U.S. could dictate terms and call the shots are slipping away, whether it's Macron flexing military power in Greenland, Carney forging new ties with China, or the U.S. backing down at the UN. This is the moment when the global balance of power begins to shift. But what's the final takeaway? It's simple. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear: the world will never look the same again. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve, if you want to understand the next chapter in this global story, make sure you're subscribed. There's a lot more to come.